Did you practice while you were gone?
I did not. And then Tuesday I worked a lot, so I practiced Wednesday and Thursday. And last night I'm laying in bed just sore. But it feels good to get back in the swing of things.
Good.
And it's hard when it's a cold environment. I think all of us
Yes.
are sunny region people, but in the cold the muscles get so tight and not that pliable. So it's nice now that it's going to be warm for us. Okay, Anouk is here. I'm going to mute her and we will get started. All right, so let's come to the top of the mat. We're going to roughly go through second series. Don't get scared, but there were a lot of requests for back bends and a lot of requests for forward bends. Often back bends come at the end of class, but in second series, they're actually at the beginning. So we'll just play with that and see how it goes. Let's bring the hands together. Lift the chest up toward the thumbs. Drop the tailbone down toward the floor. On your next exhale, lower the arms by your sides. Let's inhale to reach up. Bring the palms together, touch the back of the neck. Thumbs to the back of the neck. Then reach up again. Inhale. Bring the hands to prayer in front of your chest. Exhale. Inhale, reach up. Notice the elbows are in. Exhale, bend the elbows. Touch the thumb to the back of the neck. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to prayer. See if we can do this one more time without changing the shape of your back. So when you inhale and reach up, you're not just bringing yourself into a back bend right away. You're still strong through the core and controlling that. So option today when we reach through the sun salutes to do this with your arms. Let's reach up, inhale, and just fold forward to the exhale. Let's come halfway up to the inhale. Step or jump chaturanga, exhale. Upward facing, inhale. Downward facing, exhale. We'll just stay here for a few breaths. Work out whatever issues are starting to show up. Sometimes it's obvious as soon as we get out of bed what the issues are for that day. Sometimes it's not till we get to the mat that we know what is kinked up. But rarely are we in perfect condition. After the exhale, step, walk, or jump forward. Inhale, halfway up. Fold, exhale. Inhale, arms to the ceiling. And either arms by your sides or exhale, touch thumbs to the back of the neck. Inhale, reach up again. Fold on the exhale. Halfway up, inhale. Step or jump back, lower down, exhale. Inhale, arch. Exhale, press back. Let's just bend one knee so you feel the other heel on the ground. Lift your armpits toward the ceiling and then press your chest closer to your legs. Try the other side, heel down or close to down. With the knee bent, you have a real good chance at getting that heel down. We'll bring both heels down. Make your game plan to get your feet to the top of your mat. After the exhale, move the feet. Inhale, halfway up. Fold, exhale. Rise up, inhale. Either samasthiti or thumbs to the back of the neck. Keep your elbows in if you're doing that. Inhale, reach up. Fold, exhale. Halfway up, inhale. Step or jump, chaturanga, exhale. Upward facing, inhale. Work the back muscles. Exhale, downward dog. Let's come to tabletop. Just a few cat-cows. Inhale to arch. Exhale, engage in the belly so that you can round. Inhale. So we release here, but not all the way. So we're not just letting it all hang out. As we want to round, we're drawing the tailbone down, the belly button up. Inhale, arch. You can powerfully still draw the belly button up. It's quite interesting feeling of working the abs. Take one more round. It's almost more dramatic to feel the belly draw in when you're in that arch. And then your next exhale, whenever that is, press to downward dog. Heels up high for the inhale. Bend the knees, exhale, and step or jump forward. Inhale at the top. Head to the chins, exhale. Reach up, inhale, keep the elbows in, either Samasthiti or touch the back of the neck. This is just opening through the armpits more, that touching neck thing. Exhale to fold. Inhale halfway. Step or jump, chaturanga. Exhale. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Let's walk hands to feet. When you get all that weight in your feet, you're just on fingertips. Bend the left knee, your hips will shift. Walk your hands outside of the left foot. Maybe you can bring your head outside of your left knee. Keep pressing your right hip back. So it's like your hip and armpit are moving very far apart. Walk it through center, over to the other side, right knee bends. If you can't have your hands on the ground because the flexibility is not there, just put your hands on your right leg and give yourself a little pull over into the twist. But the way to make it really deep is to keep pushing your left hip back. Okay, come through center, walk into downward dog. Heels up high, inhale. Bend the knees, exhale, look forward and jump. Inhale halfway. Fold, exhale, high grab. Rise all the way up, inhale.
Better late than never.
Thumbs to the back of the neck, exhale. Let's just stay here for a sec. Reach your elbows up, but not out to the side. If your elbows go out to the side, your shoulders are going to do this crazy kinking up thing. So elbows in, shoulders down. It should be relatively comfortable, but the trouble is that we end up sometimes overarching. So this is really about how do you draw your ribs down. Just take one more breath to think about the ribs while you're pressing your head into your arms. It is not easy. Next, inhale, we'll bend the knees and reach up. Ustrasana. Fold into straight legs, exhale. Halfway up, inhale. Step or jump back, lower down, exhale. Upward facing, inhale. Downward facing, exhale. Right foot forward. Reach up on the inhale. Interlace the fingers. Go for that steeple mudra so that you can pull your arms up a little higher. Notice your chest goes up higher too. And release the interlace grip. So now your arms are on their own. Bend the elbows and try to find that same armpit stretch as before. Next, inhale, reach up. Hands to the floor, chaturanga, exhale. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Left foot forward. Warrior one. Reach up, interlace the fingers. So on this side, it's going to feel like your right arm might need a little assistance. And that's just because that back leg, the hip flexor and psoas have to really get into this stretch. Try to keep reaching, but release the interlace. And if you can, bend the elbows. Try not to let the head drop down. So we're still open through the throat. Next, inhale, reach up. Hands to the floor, chaturanga, exhale. Upward facing, inhale. Downward facing, exhale. Let's come onto the forearms, down dog B. Often we think of back bends as needing a lot of back flexibility. But you probably heard me say a million times, it's a lot of shoulder and it's a lot of quads and hip flexors opening. So I'm not a natural back bender, my back barely moves, but if I can get these other things to move, we can get into some really deep positions. Okay, let's straighten the arms again. Walk the hands back to your feet. Reach for the big toes. Inhale. And fold as you exhale. Few breaths here. We'll try to bring the belly in. We'll try to get the legs straight. It might not happen if your hamstrings are tight, but you can still engage the quads even if your legs are bent. And your next inhale, straighten the arms so your chest comes away from your legs and walk into downward dog. Heels up for an inhale. Knees bend, exhale, lightly jump forward. Inhale, halfway up. Fold, exhale. Utkatasana. Inhale. Let's squat and reach forward for the exhale. And you might come this far down, you might not. Utkatasana again. Push your knees together. Squat on your exhale, still pushing the knees together. Just take two more. So this is a back bend, Utkatasana, but then you draw your belly in more and you round for the squat. Not so different from a cat cow feeling. Next time you're in Utkatasana, fold and straighten the legs. Inhale, halfway up. Stepward jump back, chaturanga. Exhale. Upward facing, inhale. Downward facing, exhale. Right foot forward, warrior one. Inhale, reach up. And interlace the fingers behind your back. Exhale. Each inhale, lift the chest. Each exhale, reach your knuckles closer to your back foot. Let's take two more breaths. Quite difficult position. I'm going to be sore later, I can already tell. That's what happens when you take 3 days off. Okay, release the grip. Hands down, step back, lower down. From down dog, we'll step the left foot forward. Warrior one. Inhale. Interlace behind you. Exhale. Inhale, chest up. So we're just nudging into these positions that we'll need for deep back bends. The more we can lift the chest here, the easier time we'll have in something like Ustrasana at the wall. Okay, release your grip. Cycle through your vinyasa. We'll meet in down dog B again on the forearms. You might want to measure it out, you might not, your choice. I'm going to measure it out and move my computer a little bit. Okay, so when you get there, just press your pointer finger and thumb down and energetically toward one another. They won't move because they're on a sticky mat, but think of them as being attracted to one another. Start to walk your feet closer to your elbows. Maybe even a little bit more. So keep pressing down through the floor so that your head doesn't clunk down. And it always feels like your armpits are lifting up and back towards your legs. Okay, walk the feet back to a nice normal down dog B and straighten the arms. After your exhale, step or jump forward. Inhale there. Fold, exhale. Bend into the knees. Utkatasana, inhale. Let's find that squat again for the exhale. So here you're rounded. There's like a tiny bit of space there between your belly and your thighs. Maintain that, but drop your butt down to the floor pretty close to your heels. And it feels like you want to just fling your torso back, but we're going to try to keep leaning forward. The feet still on the ground, the knees still together. You'll feel your hip flexors working here. Take one more breath. Okay, return to your squat. So you can let your knees separate. That gives you a little extra leaning forward ability. Now we'll reach up for Utkatasana. Hold on your exhale. Come halfway up, inhale. Step or jump back, chaturanga, exhale. Upward facing, downward facing. Right foot forward, Anjaneasana. We'll lower that left knee, untuck the toes, hands to the right. Okay. Let's take our robot arms, so the palms are facing each other. But then, keeping the elbows by your sides, bring your palms out to the side. So now it's like your knuckles are trying to reach toward your back foot. And maybe just play with this a time or two, or stay put, whichever suits you. Okay, let's lower the fingertips down. Lift the back knee. On your next inhale, straighten your front leg, drop your head. Exhale, bend your front leg, there's your lunge. Just take two more like that. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. One more time. Okay, rotate that back heel to the floor. Straighten your front leg, triangle pose. Left arm up. We scoop that right hip under. That right hand could be on the floor, the foot, the big toe, the shin. But engage your quads. Literally think about it. Okay, left hand down. We'll bend that right knee and just lift the right leg up to the ceiling. So we're in a three-legged downward dog. Let's stack the hip so the leg is really high. And then square the hip so the hips are level. Just one more time. Inhale, the leg as high as it can go. And exhale to bring it level. And let's bring the elbows down. So it's down dog B with the right leg reaching up and back. And while you're here, just try to balance your right and left arms. So you're not leaning toward any side. Take one more breath. Reach through the right toes a little more. We'll lower the right foot. Straighten the arms. And step the left foot forward for Anjaneasana on the other side. So when you sort out your back foot, sometimes it's handy to peek at it. I usually have to bring my back foot in a little bit. I think it's behind the knee, and then I look and it's at the edge of the mat. Okay, so robot arms. Arms out to, or knuckles out to the side and back. Either staying there so you feel your chest poke up, or just finding the movement a few times. Okay, and fingertips down. Back knee up. We'll inhale to a straight front leg, as straight as you can get it. Exhale, bend. 2 more times. Inhale, straight. Exhale, bend. This is just easing into your hamstring a little bit so that when you go to your triangle pose, it is all set to go. Right heel spins down, left leg straight. Scoop the left hip under so that you can open your torso. And the more that twist that you want, the higher you could bring that bottom hand. So if you feel like looking down toward the floor is inevitable, just put your left hand on your shin, and then you can twist toward the ceiling a lot easier. Okay, right hand down, 3-legged downward dog, left leg up. We'll stack the hips so the toes point to the ceiling, and exhale, square. The toes will just point straight back behind you. One more time, inhale. Don't let that bottom foot move at all. Exhale. And with the hips square, bring the elbows down. Ideally, they land right behind your wrists. If it's too hard to land them, just put your knees on the floor, set up your forearms, and then lift your right knee again. So think about getting your left leg a little bit straighter, like you're trying to poke through the wall behind you. And lower the foot, straighten the arms. Let's walk hands to feet. Slide the hands under the feet, Kapotasana. Inhale, fold, exhale. So you did something very similar earlier. Sometimes when people put their hands under their feet, it's tough to keep the weight in the balls of the feet also. So you have to be a little bit brave here and distribute the weight throughout the foot. So it's not just in the heel. You're literally pressing your foot through your hand to the ground. Okay, release the hands, walk into downward dog. Right leg up high, inhale. Step 3/4 of the way forward, exhale. Straighten both legs and spin the left heel to the floor. Just stay here and try to square your hips. If you feel balanced and the ball of your right foot is staying down, interlace your fingers behind your back, reach your knuckles up, away from your butt, and fold. Just keep squeezing the thighs together. This is actually, we're using this as a prep for a twisted triangle. We want to make sure that our legs will hold us. Okay, rise up a bit. Plant your left hand where you want it. Right arm up. Twist. So the legs don't change. It's very tempting to do a whole lot of shifting. Don't let it happen. So your ball of right foot was pushing down when you were square. Still does. Think of squeezing that left pointer and thumb toward each other, just like you did when you were on your forearms. Okay, untwist. Let's go quarter turn to the left. First arm to A. So the toes will face the long edge of the mat. Inhale, hands between the heels. Fold, exhale, head down. Or just moving in that direction. Diligent about keeping the elbows in. Diligent about engaging the quads. Just take 1 or 2 more breaths. We'll inhale to straight arm. Walk the hands toward that right foot, pivot that right foot, and launch up to Anjaneasana. So the hips will open, the legs straight. And we're going to energize that left foot so it feels like we're kicking through that back wall. A lot of work being done in the right hip. Take 1 more breath. We're going to turn this into Kapotasana. So we'll step the leg into a warrior 2 stance. Big step back with the left foot, the right knee bends. The left arm extends out over the ear. You could stay like this with your right hand pinky toe side of the foot. If your shoulders are tight, try to bind instead. Half bind or a full bind. You don't have to like the bind to try it. Actually, if you don't like it, it probably means you need to do it. And just remember, your hands here are not grabbing each other near your butt. It's near your hip or even your thigh. If you find that your hands are by your butt, you have to bend your right elbow more. Okay, let's unwind the hands, step back, vinyasa. And we'll go for all of that on side 2. So left foot about 3/4 of the way forward. Straighten both legs, spin that right heel down. And just practice squaring the hips. Seems like it should be easy, but it is anything but. If you can balance, interlace the fingers. Take your thumbs up away from your back. And as you stretch with your arms, your torso will come closer to your left leg. I usually take this opportunity to wipe sweat off my face onto my pants. Pro tip for you. Okay, so keeping the legs in this shape, lower the hands, decide where you want your right hand to be.
How about wiping your mouth too?
What'd you say, Rob?
How about wiping your mouth too on your leg too?
Oh yeah, definitely. And if there's sweat dripping up your nose, all of it. So we want our right shoulder over the wrist. And in order to make that happen, I'm thinking about the inside edge of the right hand. Point your finger and thumb. 2 more breaths. Okay, untwist, quarter turn to the right. Prasarita D. We'll reach for the big toes. Inhale, fold, exhale. Of course, you could hold the calves instead. Just try to let your shoulders defy gravity here. So they're moving up toward your hips. And that is very hard to do, but you can work on it with your hands really in any position. Okay, next inhale, we'll straighten the arms, walk the hands to that left foot or the top of the mat, pivot the left foot, ardha, chandrasana. Peek back at your right leg, make sure that you can see your toes. We want that leg going straight back, not swinging out of control. Press through the heel, get the leg a little straighter. Okay, and we'll meet in our Kapotasana, landing that back foot when your brain says go. If it lands prematurely, just try the transition again. Right arm over the ear or bind it. In most things, the transition is actually harder than the pose. So feel free to work the transition, just go in and out of the pose. Those of you binding, try to lean that right shoulder back more. Yes, Carrie, you could probably eke out another inch. Okay, let's slowly get out of there. Step back, vinyasa. Okay, right foot forward, left knee down. Hands to the right thigh. Let's just stay here for a moment. Practice digging your right heel into the ground. So without changing that energy of the front foot, reach your left hand for the inside of the left foot. And just hang out here for a moment. it's tempting once we get that grip to start spinning the body. So try to stay calm, to face front, and to dig that right heel into the floor. We have plenty of opportunity to add on to this. We don't need to get too ambitious too soon. Okay, release that back foot. Hands to the big toe side of the right foot. Turn the right foot out a little bit and just come into your lizard, either staying on the hands or down to the elbows. Make a choice to stay put or right hand for back foot. So now there's a little twist. I will pull the foot in, heel to left sitting bone. This is a less is more pose. So if you can adopt an attitude of not caring, your muscles will relax and you'll actually wind up deeper in it. So don't fight yourself. Okay, let's slowly get out of there. Let's quarter turn to the left. We'll set up for Prasarita, but bring your hands to your hips and stand. Because it's easier to do this next thing from the top down. So we'll go for Gomukhasana arms, right arm up and over. You can hold your elbow with your left hand, or you can reach your left hand behind your back and grip your fingers or a strap. Inhale, fold on your exhale. I have to loosen the grip the deeper I fold, because we don't want that left shoulder to rip out of the socket. Go very slow. You can always slip your grip apart and hold your shirt instead. But as you're folded, press your head into your right arm. So the throat is open. Inhale to rise up. Keep pressing the head into the arm so that when you're risen, your head is just right there above your neck. And release. Oh, Lordy. Let's pivot to the front and vinyasa. Left foot forward for Anjaneasana. So first we just hang out and we try to practice left heel to the floor. When you can, right hand for inside of the foot. So your thumb is up like you're hitchhiking. As you're doing that, keep bending your left leg. Let your right foot move further back. And this less is more concept is in this pose, but it's not present in this front leg. This front leg has to work like mad to steer your hips and to deepen the Anjaneasana aspect. Okay, release that back foot. Hands to the big toe side of the left foot. Spin the toes out. Decide, do you want hands or elbows? It should feel like your thigh is getting pretty close to the ground here. If you want the thigh stretch to be more, left hand reaches back. So these are all preps for deep back bends, because you're stretching your thighs, your shoulders, even though your spine is not necessarily involved. All these pieces are so important. Okay, let's undo the thigh stretch, undo the lizard, quarter turn to the right, toes face the long edge, hands to the hips, inhale up. Gomukhasana arms. So on the other side, I did the left arm first. You could also do the bottom arm first. Does not have to be top arm first. So just figure out what works for you. The exhale is what brings you down. You don't have to go all the way down. You need to always make good decisions. You're really the only one that can take care of you. When you're ready to inhale up, keep pressing your head into your arm. That might help be a little motor. And when you're ready to release, the head stays put. Oh, so nice to release that. And let's vinyasa, the downward dog. Okay, right leg to pigeon, but a kind of shallow pigeon. So we're going to bring that right heel close to our left hip. Right hand to right thigh. Left hand to that inside of the foot, just like what you did before. So it's like, instead of Anjane, it's pigeon, but otherwise it's the same. Make sure you can balance here. If you can, start to bring your foot closer and pivot the hand so it's a Baddha grip. You might feel that you start to get wobbly, in which case you can wedge something underneath your right hip. Take 2 more breaths. Oh, that feels good. Okay, let go there. Rock to your right hip. So if you had something under it, just move it out of the way. Straighten the right leg. And then find your Hanumanasana. So the hands keeping you up as high as you need to be. Or your left knee keeping you up. All right, so let's step to downward dog. So hoist the hips up. Slide that right foot back. Bring the left leg forward for pigeon. Shallow pigeon, so left heel is not going to be too far away from you. And it will be easier to square your hips because you're not dealing with that left hip flexibility. You can reach your right hand for your right foot and deal with right thigh flexibility. So it's pretty easy, relatively, to stay here if we're kicking the foot back into the hand. When you decide to come into Baddha grip, you're pushing the hand into the foot, but you're also pushing the foot into the hand. So there is a little tension there. It's just not quite as grandiose as when your right arm was straight. So do what you can to stay balanced. Wherever you need the left hand to go, do that. Bring your right ribs forward more. And your left ribs back. Yes. Good. Okay. Let's slowly get out of there. Release the back leg. Straighten the left leg. And square up. You can have your right leg, your front leg, your left leg. You can have it bent right now if you want. And just deal with your right thigh a little bit extra. Okay, let's meet in downward dog. There's a bunch of a hoist that has to happen here. So summon your deep core muscles. And when you get to down dog, rock forward to plank and vinyasa just to cleanse your palate. We'll take a few breaths in downward dog. I'm going to cross my room and get my sweat towel because I'm very sweaty. Okay. Let's rock forward to plank again. We'll lower down to the belly. Shoulderstand A. Arms by our sides, legs together. Inhale to lift up and think of reaching your toes back. So your legs are as long as they could be. That might mean that they're not up off the ground very high. That's fine. Sure, if we were to bend the knees, the heels would go higher. But we're not really concerned with where the heels are. We want the legs long so that eventually the thighs will lift up. Okay, let's lower down, hands under the shoulders. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Hooey. All right, let's go Shoulderstand B. Inhale to plank. Exhale to your belly. Slide your hands back toward your waist. And then it's going to be similar. So chest up, legs up. Reach your legs back. Peel your chest up a little higher. And I like B position because now we can think elbows in more and we'll feel the upper back muscles work and our chest will feel like it's reaching forward more. Okay, come on down, slide your hands forward a few inches so that you can tuck the toes for upward facing dog. Inhale, downward dog, exhale. Virasana. Let's take a little rest. And if Virasana is painful for you, put a block under your butt. Or anytime we are in Virasana, just do Anjaneasanas or any thigh stretch. If you feel your knees compromised, it is not worth it. Let's come back just to the elbows. Try to bring your feet a little closer to your hips. See that your knees are pointing straight forward, not out to the side. So your thighs are not making a V shape. They're just parallel to each other. Easier said than done. Okay, come on up and just press the downward dog. We'll do that many more times. Do not worry. Okay, we'll rock forward to plank, lower to the belly, Dhanurasana. We'll bend the knees, hold on to the ankles. Bring the big toes to touch if you can, or maybe your whole inner foot, and start to kick. Regardless of how close your feet are to each other, bring your knees 1 inch closer together. Take 2 more breaths. Chest up, chest forward, pubic bone down. And slowly release. Hands under the shoulders. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Ooh-wee. Okay, Virasana. Again. So we'll come down lower this time, but only if you can control where your thighs are. So go slow. I always have to move my feet closer to my hips, kind of in this middle range. If you get to your shoulders, put your hands on your lowest ribs. And notice how they might be jutting up. Try to minimize that. Press into your toes so that you can get your sitting bones just a little lighter on the floor, and then your pubic bone up a little higher toward the ceiling. Okay, let's start to come on up. We will have another chance to try Supta Virasana. Let's just press back, either vinyasa or downward dog. Okay, Anjaneasana. So lower to the knees and walk the hands forward or the knees back, depending on where you are on your mat. And we'll drop either to the forehead or the chin or the chest. So think to your first cat-cows that you did. And I said when you were in a back bend, if you could draw your belly in, it's quite powerful. So do that here. You will literally feel your abdominal muscles. this ever elusive core that we always hear about. And we're like, what the heck is that? So if you draw your belly in here, you'll find it. Okay, oh Lordy, let's get out of there. Just straighten the arms, press back, downward dog. So we'll do a few things at the wall. We'll kind of move on and off the wall. And carry your couch would suffice because we'll be using kind of like the bottom bit. But I know you have a doorway also. You might want to move over there. So we're going to first just do an Anjaneasana with our left foot on the baseboard. So the ball of the left foot will be down on the ground and the heel will be on the wall. And that's it. We're just going to hang out here. We're not going to let our anxiety about the wall get to us. Because look how friendly it is. And all the things that you know about your Anjaneasana, they're still true. We're still using that front heel, bending that front knee deeper. We just happen to have our left heel anchored. Let's practice keeping this right heel on the floor, but unbend your front leg a little bit and rebend it. Just do that a few times. See if you can do that while keeping your torso facing front. So of course we're going to make it a little bit of hands. So I'll read a little bit where I want them. Rebend it. Back there.
Rachel, something going on with your sound. I cannot hear some of it. It's choppy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're back. I think we're back on my phone. Oh, we're back on my computer too. Zoom just had itself a little breakdown. All right, let's change legs so that we can have our left foot front. And we'll first just hang out and
Oh, we went into Shavasana during the break.
oh, I bet that was real quick. I bet you're feeling real rested now. So hopefully y'all did that right side with the right leg front. So now we have left leg front. I don't know exactly when I lost you. I will never understand the computer. So a few times we straighten and bend the left leg. When your left leg is straight, it's hard to push the heel down, but you have to or you're going to fall over. And we're going to attempt to straighten our arms at the wall. I can't speak when I'm back there because it's hard, but if you let your elbows bend, you can reach further down the wall, the left leg a little unbent, and push straight up. Good. We'll attempt a few, 3 to 5 breaths when you're back there. Good. And then we'll release from the wall. Let's just find a normal downward dog. We will go back to it. It gets worse kind of as we go back. Let's vinyasa to cleanse the palate. And let's go for one more Supta Virasanas. This will be the last one of the day, I promise. It's a great prep for a lot of things, but it might have to be done one leg at a time or not at all. So remember, your thighs are parallel. Your feet are just right next to your hips. Either hands to your lowest rib, try to tuck it in, or you can reach overhead, hold opposite elbows, or stretch your arms straight. Belly in. We're trying to minimize that bend for the low back. Maximize it for the quads and hip flexors. Okay, let's start to rise up again. And we'll meet in downward dog. Whew. All right, let's bring ourselves about an arm's distance from the wall. And my wall is not a wall, my wall is a door, a glass door, so it's pretty crappy. I'm gonna try to push, but not too hard because I don't want to break the glass. So we're gonna go for Ustrasana with 2 hands on the wall. When you reach up, don't let your arms flail out to the side because it's very hard to harness them in again. Remember how we lifted our arms before we touched the back of the neck? Consider starting like this. Then when you reach back, your arms are already kind of cooperating. And then you can just straighten them to the wall. Push. And as you push into the wall, your arms get straighter, your hips move away from the wall. Good. And then come on up and just take a rest for a moment. All right. So our exit was kind of sloppy, but that's because we're kind of dying when we're up there. So the entrance we'll try to do on the way out also. We'll see. So your hands will separate to get to the wall and try to harness it in again so that you can come up kind of compact and with control. So take your time getting there. Once you're there, try to stay for 5 breaths. Each time pushing the hands into the wall, feet into the floor, hips forward. And when you rise up, your hands will return to prayer in front of the chest. Whew. All right, downward dog. That pose always makes me want to throw up. Nice, Carrie. Okay. So we did quite a lot of Supta Virasana. We did them in between other things. We'll now stick in a few Urdhva Dhanurasanas in between other things. So let's make our way to our backs. However you want to do that is fine. Before we actually lift to Urdhva, let's just take a little Pilates bridge, just so we can activate our glutes a little bit. So press your whole spine into the floor. You'll feel your pubic bone then start to rise. And let's peel our hips off the mat and peel your mid-back off the mat and try to lift your hips so that your shoulders, hips, and knees are a straight line. Bring your knees just half an inch closer together because they tend always to splay, not just you, but a lot of us. And let's lower our hips a few inches down and lift up again, pubic bone rising. Just do this a few more times. A little bit low, and then up to that bridge again. And you're gonna feel your butt muscles working. Let's place our hands on the front hip bones as we do this so that we have something to push up into when we lift the hips. This is one adjustment. If you were in Urdhva Dhanurasana, your teacher might put their hands in this place on your hips and have you push up into it. It's a good feedback place. Okay, let's come on down to our backs. Take a breath or two. And go for Urdhva Dhanurasana or Setu Baddha Sarvangasana. We'll lift on an inhale. We'll stay for 5 breaths. That's 1, 2, 3. I know you think I'm counting slow. 4. But usually we're just breathing too fast in back bend. And 5. Come on down. So just because it's a hard pose or a back bend doesn't mean we change the pace of breath. Okay, let's just roll over and meet in downward dog. We'll do more Urdhva Dhanurasana, but we'll kind of spread them out. Okay, and let's make our way to the wall again. This time I'm just going to use this little rug. You can kind of use anything or nothing. I'm only using it because I have this like metal door track there. We're going to put our left knee against the wall so that the shin bone is up the wall. And then right foot forward. So it's like Anjaneasana. Now we're just going to hang out here. And it's pretty wicked for this left thigh. So hanging out here takes a lot of work. This front leg is bending more and more as we get more flexible. There is another version of this, which we would call knight's pose, where we would back our whole body against the wall, and then it's very much like your Supta Virasanas. But this way is going to help us get a little more into our shoulders and chest. So let's reach our arms up, thumbs behind the neck, elbows up, chest and throat open, so we push our head into our forearms. If our elbows move out to the side, our forearms will no longer be behind our head. So keep your elbows in and either stay here or place your hands on the wall and push, just like you did before. It's just a little bit more awful now. And then slowly get out of there. There's no graceful way off the wall, so just kind of crawl to the other side. It's easiest if you put your knee, your back knee, place that at the wall first, place the right shin up the wall, and then negotiate your left foot. You don't have to do it that way, but we want to be kind of efficient and save energy. So first, just make sure you can deal with this. This is a lot. Okay, arms up, thumbs to the back of the neck, elbows in. And think about reaching your armpits up so that you get a little more space, and then drop the hips lower. So you can really make this a deep pose without putting your hands on the wall. But if you want to, put your hands on the wall and try to straighten your arms. Okay, and we'll slowly get out of there when you feel like you've had enough time. And we'll just extract ourselves from the wall and crawl into a downward dog. Oh, Lordy. Okay, let's make our way to our backs again. Urdhva Dhanurasana, round 2. So before you lift up, peek around your leg and make sure your foot is facing front. The outer edge of your foot, parallel to the edge of your mat. Do it on both sides. And then when you lift up, do not move your feet. So let's rise up on an inhale. If you want a deeper Urdhva Dhanurasana, walk your hands in. Normally you could walk your feet in too, but for right now, we have our feet really well set, so we would move our hands. Okay, come on down. Rest for a sec. And roll over to the side so that you can sit up and find your down dog B on the forearms. We will take this into Mayurasana. So if you want to be by your wall, feel free to do that. This will actually be somewhat of a relief because it is a smaller back bend than what you've been doing. So when you're ready, you could step one foot in, lift the other one up, bring the second leg in, and slide it up. That's just one of many ways to get into it. But we're going to try to keep our legs really long. Like when you were in that three-legged downward dog earlier, you were trying to poke through the wall behind you. Same thing. The longer the legs are, the more balance you're going to have. Feet together if you can. Squeeze that midline. Yes, very good. Okay. So take rest as you need it. We're going to eventually meet standing. And you don't have to be there just yet. I know it's hard what we just did. So we're going to try to be about an arm's distance from the wall. I put my feet crazy wide because I otherwise can't survive this pose, but still parallel. So we're going to reach up. We're going to push our hips forward and just tap. And then rise up. I went a little bit too far. My wall was not there. So I was like flinging my fingers around. There was no wall. But at no point are we going to transfer our weight into the wall. The weight is going to stay in our feet. We're just going to reach up. Inhale. Hips forward, arms back. Exhale. Rise up again. Inhale. Lower the arms for an exhale. And you decide how close to the wall you are based on how back bendy you want to get at the moment. And just use the breath pattern so that you don't freak out. It's an inhale, arms up. An exhale to reach back. Inhale to rise up. And arms by the sides, exhale. Just do that like one or two more times. So you're really only in the very hard place for like a half breath. But getting up again is a lot of strength. Carrie, let's move you further from the wall. And then just go to fingertips instead of palms. So that you have to work your legs more. You're going to love me now. Good. So Carol, notice how you're doing that. Your arms went back, your hips went forward. That is your pincha, just with opposite arms, legs thing. Do it one more time. And I want you to think about how your hips are moving in relation to your arms. Yes, perfect. So that's the same thing you do in pincha. Or I should say you should do in pincha. Okay. So let's come into scorpion. So that's just a little bit kind of pincha on some kind of speed. So it's really all about where are your hips. So when you rise up, however you want to get up is fine. I'm going to push my hips opposite my legs and try to look forward so that the throat is very open. I'm looking about 3 feet in front of my fingers and pushing my hips opposite my hands. And I'm literally pushing with my fingers. So give it a try. You can put the wall behind you. I sometimes get scared of the wall because it's, I don't know, it's easier to just free fall for me. But you decide. So Anouk, you need to push your hips further from that wall and reach your toes further to the wall. Keep looking forward, Anouk. Like you're gonna, yes, keep seeing up the wall, like purple. See that purple? Good. So much better. Okay. So if you're about to have a breakthrough, just keep working that. Otherwise, we will come down into our Urdhva Dhanurasana again, but this time we'll scoot real close to the wall so we can walk our hands up the wall. The thing about this, we don't want to move our feet very much. So instead of being like a rainbow shape, you've got to be a bit of an omega shape. And then it takes quite a big push off the wall. So I'm going to get real close to the wall, feet real close. Hands and wrists are pretty much right up there. Then I lift up, and it's like the armpits and chest are going to touch. And I might take a few minutes or a few breaths trying to get the chest closer. And then when I want to walk up, I'm going to push hips forward. So there's not a lot of dancing with the feet. It's pushing the hips away from the wall. So give it a try. It's very satisfying when it works. And that's the same concept as how you would do a drop back too. So if you don't want to use the wall, feel free to not. You okay, Carrie? Anouk, get your arms straight when the hands are on the floor, and then walk the hands up. Yeah, when the arms are straighter, it's a lot easier. Now put your hands on the wall, and then start to walk. I think Anouk just shook her head at me. So yeah, I should say that a prerequisite for walking up is Urdhva Dhanurasana on one hand, because there is a moment where you have to lift your hand. Sorry about that. That's the reality of it. All right. So let's take one more back bend. First vinyasa, so that you cleanse your palate. We're just going to do one more back bend, then a few twists, two forward bends. Of course, we need more time. That goes without saying. Okay, so this last one, we're going to start it like we did earlier, Ustrasana, camel pose. I like to visualize how long my shin is, not shin, what is this, a forearm, and put myself about that distance from the wall. I don't think that today I'm going to go for Kapotasana, but now if I wanted to, I could. So then it will be like you did before, reach up, reach back. I'll try to talk while I'm back there. I'm going to walk down till the floor. Oops. Okay. Then straighten the arms. This is couple feet. And then walk in if you want for couple A. Return to couple B. Ustrasana. So it starts very nicely. And then you just decide how crazy do you want to make it. I had this, we have a little protector for our door so cats can get in and out, but humans can't. It started to fall down when I did that. So, Anouk, you're a little close to the wall. Do you have any room to move your mat further forward? Okay. Yeah, because you need a little space to get the hands to move down the wall further. And you can bend the elbows to get the hands further down. I like to err on the side of hands wide, elbows in. If the hands are close together, the elbows will definitely be wide. So move your hands further apart. And Carrie, work your feet to help you get your hips forward. Good. Woo-wee. Nice. All right, so when you have come up from your crazy place, let's go to downward dog. Let's walk our hands to our feet. Your feet separated maybe a little bit more than hips width. Bend the knees, dangle. Okay, let's squat and just stretch the legs out in front. And we'll bring the feet together, feet flexed, arms either out to the side, or if you don't have space for that, just cactus arms, it will be just the same. We'll inhale, and we'll twist to the right for the exhale. Inhale through center, and exhale, twist left. Oh my gosh, my hip is cramping so bad. Inhale through center, exhale right, hello obliques. Inhale center, and exhale left. Okay, inhale center. Creep forward a little bit on your mat so that you have some space behind you. We're just gonna hold on to the thighs, make a little C shape with our spine. So feels like our tailbone is kind of pointing forward a bit. And inhale yourself up again, shoulders back, and now our sitting bones are on the mat. And just do that again. We ground ourselves, so it's like the sacrum is moving down. And inhale, shoulders back, chest up. Round down again. This time stay where you are, and if you can, lift your arms. Try to keep that kind of hollow shape. With or without the hands, rise up and sit tall. And just one more time, curl in. It's like we're reaching forward with our arms and shoulders, but our mid-back is going back. This time, twist to the right. Let's reach the right arm back. I'm just going to do the other side so you can see it, but still right arm back. And we're just going to do a little pulse back and forward, maybe a few inches. Hello, obliques. And we'll come through center and then rise up and try the other side. Roll it down, other arm back, and just a few little pulses, very small, very controlled. The more comfortable you feel with those oblique muscles, you can twist more. Okay, and we'll face front, then roll it up, rise up, and let's come all the way down. You could walk your hands on your legs or just straighten your legs and go freehand, your call. Once you get there, bring your feet down and just think about the shape of your back. So nice neutral, we're not doing anything crazy. Let's place our hands on our feet, on our lowest ribs. Notice how nice and flat that is. Right and left are the same height. Let's drop the right knee 45 degrees out to the right and bring it in again. And then the left knee out to the left and bring it in again. And move your hands down a little bit so they're on your obliques, the side ab, and drop your right knee out. Push your left fingers a little more into your left obliques to help activate and bring your right knee in. And left knee out to the side. Now your right obliques have to work harder. You can feel it with your fingers, literally. And bring the knee in. And lift the right leg all the way up. And try it with the leg straighter. And you only go out to the point where you can maintain without falling over. And you'll feel your left side abs working a lot. Bring your right leg up. And just change sides, left leg up. And over to the left. Hello, right side, abs. So we're never falling over. Bring the left leg up and lower it. Okay, so let's go for a pose that's at the end of primary series. We're gonna reach right hand to right big toe, straight legs. Left leg is just straight out along the mat. You can either have your left hand on your thigh or at your left obliques. We're gonna bring the right leg out to the side. But we're not going to fall over to the right. Sometimes folks get overzealous about getting the right foot to the floor, and they let the whole weight transfer over. But really, your left obliques have to keep you centered. Let's bring the right leg up again and just switch sides. And it's from primary series, but that doesn't mean that it's easy, and it doesn't mean that we're ever going to be finished practicing it. So you just let your flexibility of the hip and the hamstring take your leg over, but not at the expense of keeping yourself centered. So the right hand, traditionally, it's on the thigh, but it helps me to poke around in the obliques to activate them so I can control this more. Okay, left leg up, and bend both knees, hold behind your thighs. With your leg strength, push forward so that you start to rise up, and maybe take a few rocks, and the leg strength is going to bring you up to sitting. Okay, double pigeon, right leg on top. We'll go into a few little hippie things and twisty things. So in second series, just so you know, there's crazy back bends. Then you get like one thing to activate your bandhas again, because sometimes back bends you forget your bandhas. And then you get 2 twists, and then you put your foot behind your head. Okay, so we'll rise up, ardha matsyendrasana, left heel close to your right hip, right sole of the foot on the floor, and twist. Hug, hook, or twist so deeply that you can reach your left hand for your foot. Which really should feel like something in your hip. If you don't feel it in your hip and you're only feeling it in your shoulder, then I would say back up to a different stage. So try to look back and increase your twist a smidge. Okay, and let's unwind. And we'll just go for double pigeon side 2, left leg on top. As you get more comfy with double pigeon, you can bring your chest toward your shin bone. That adds new degrees of challenge. Okay, and we'll rise up for ardha matsyendrasana. If it hurts to have your right knee bent, just straighten it out. You could still get a lovely hip stretch for the left side and the twist. So as you're getting into it, it might take you a few breaths into it. You need to get your right armpit quite close to your left thigh. So sometimes I lean out of the pose. Right now, my left butt cheek is off the ground. I got my arm situated, and then I can put the hip down again. If you ever go to a studio that's very strict about your wiggling, maybe you need to find a different studio. Okay, so last breath. We'll get out of there on an inhale. Woo-wee. We'll release the legs and jump back on an exhale. So you'll cross your shins and step the feet through that little non-existent space under your hands. Okay, let's walk the hands back to the feet. We'll reach the right shoulder inside of the right knee. So you can lift the right heel off the ground. It's then going to be easier to get your shoulder there and bind around your right leg. And when you can, lower your right heel down and straighten your legs as much as you can. It's going to be pretty easy to straighten your left leg, but not very easy to straighten your right. And as you straighten your right, you're pushing your knee basically into the back of your shoulder. Be very gentle. Okay, slowly get out of there and try the other side. So that left heel can come up. It just makes it easier to get your left shoulder situated inside or behind the left leg. Bend that left elbow quite a lot. Try to hold on to the right wrist. And we're not doing Titivasana today, but this is a great prep for Titivasana because that shoulder-leg relationship is very similar. Okay, let's slowly unwind, walk into downward dog, and let's vinyasa so that we don't get stuck in any one direction. Okay, jump through, have a seat. Let's go for Janu A, sole of foot to right thigh. Inhale, fold, exhale. So we'll spend a few breaths in A position, and then we're going to actually attempt C position, which I love, but I think I might be the only one that loves it. So feel free to stay there, or if you want C position, I'm going to face this way so the light strikes my foot better. So we'll hold the outer edge of the right foot. We'll pull the foot in close to the pelvis, spinning the heel up and the toes down so that the arch of the foot is against the thigh. And then to situate, we'll bring the knee forward a little bit. It's very gnarly to the toes, the ankle, etc. But then it's very satisfying when we fold forward and this heel digs into the core. It's like a little Uddiyana Bandha stretch, but where you don't actually have to work Uddiyana Bandha because your heel is kind of doing it for you. Okay, let's rise up because I've talked so much and change legs. So just A position to start, right leg straight, left foot to thigh. So here you have about 90 degrees between your thighs, and we'll fold. If you are coming into C position in a few moments, that will be approximately 45 degrees between the thighs. Okay, so if you want C position, rise up, take hold of the pinky toe side of your foot, and maybe even just practicing something like this would help, and eventually you'll get the ball of the foot pretty close to that upper thigh, and see my knee is still out to the side, so I'll lift my hips an inch off the ground and make that adjustment. My knee is going out the same way as the toes, that way. If you get toward that spot and it feels like your knee is being compromised or your ankle, do something else. In primary series, Matsyendrasana D gets so much attention as being gnarly, but this one is just as bad. Okay, let's rise up and vinyasa. Lisa said she wanted Janu Asana, but she didn't really say for C. She's like, uh-oh, now I'm never going to request something again. Okay, let's come through and have a seat. We're just going to attempt lotus, but it doesn't have to be. If you can't get to lotus, that's fine. If you do get to lotus, it's right leg first, right knee to the floor. Then left leg can come in without a whole lot of to do. If you can't get your right knee to the floor, don't pull your left foot in yet. So once you're situated, hold opposite elbows, or if you're in lotus, left arm behind your back. Twist to the left so that you get a really good grip on your foot. Then whip your right arm around and twist a little bit to the right. You get your right arm gripping your left foot. And no matter where you are, fold forward. We're just going to stay here for 3 breaths. And then we'll take it to a shoulder stand as our final forward bend. Okay, let's rise up. So normally this would come after shoulder stand, but I just wanted you to attempt your lotus before you have to do it while you're upside down in an inversion. So take out whatever bun ponytail thing you have, and let's lay back. We'll lift the legs up and then the hips up. If you're not inverting for this, just go legs up the wall. Take a few breaths and try to get your hands a little higher on your back, more toward your shoulder blades. Press your head gently into the floor so your chin is moving away from your chest. Let's lower the legs overhead, halasana. And while you're doing that, it's very tempting for the chin to drop into the chest, but you need to keep your throat open. The back of your head is part of your foundation. Let's bend the knees. They could go to your forehead, your temples, your shoulders. Occasionally, for some of us, they'll touch the floor. I haven't had my knees touch the floor since Tim put them there for me. Let's lift the legs up all the way to vertical again. And cross your legs in whatever position you want, potentially lotus or half lotus. Once you get your legs crossed, bend at the hip so that your shins are roughly parallel to the floor. Place your hands on your knees and push up. And now you'll feel how shoulder powerful this is. We knew it was a shoulder stand, but now it's really, now that the elbows are up, we can really feel how much the shoulders are working. Let's bring the shins toward our chest, give ourselves a hug. Place the hands down on the mat, roll down as slowly as you can to your back. If you can keep your thighs close to your torso, you'll be able to roll a little bit slower. And once you get your back to the floor, lift your chest up. If you're in lotus, you can hold your feet. Otherwise, your legs could just be out in front of you or crossed. We'll come into fish. Matsyendrasana. Chest up, head back. As long as you have no pain and you're able to keep your chest up, you can extend your legs out, point through the toes, reach your legs as far as you can, arms parallel to the legs in a long prayer. Release your hands to the floor, untuck your head and bend your knees to your chest. And just rock a little bit side to side. Normally, after that pose, we would do a backward somersault into a vinyasa. Of course, that is an option, or you can just rock up and take a vinyasa, or you can just stay on your back, because the next thing we do is shavasana. So start to minimize the rocking, interlace the fingers so your hands are basically over your shins. And just let the weight of your arms bring your thighs closer to you. So it's like a child's pose, stretch to the back and the hips. Just that you're on your back. And slowly release and set up for your shavasana however you want to. I've been feeling very tight in the shoulders and chest lately. So I've been doing these goalpost arms, like cactus arms during shavasana. And that's pretty fun because as you relax, you feel the muscles passively stretch. use the next minute to sit up in any fashion. Keep the eyes closed. Let's bring the hands to prayer. Take a breath. And hands to the third eye. Take a breath. And fold forward. Seal it in. Namaste.